Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate SNS. I hope you've been having a great week. I know what you're thinking. First thing, what happened? Well, I decided to shave last night. Family coming over for Thanksgiving and all, and then regretted it almost instantly when I went outside to deal with the birds and all that. You start dealing with those cold temperatures. It's kind of like, hey, what the heck? But I lost about 20 years, it looks like, just from shaving. So hey, there you go. But right now, with everything going on with the holidays, man, I understand the inflation prices, even the food scarcities that are out there. It's kind of hard to plan for this Thanksgiving meal and make sure that you have like a traditional Thanksgiving. So I would encourage you to do a couple things. One, take a moment, just remember what you're thankful for, and remember this is about having time that you can spend with family. Most jobs are going to allow people to be off. If you don't have a job that allows you off for Thanksgiving, I would say probably time to find a different job, man. I worked a lot of years where you would have to work Thanksgiving, Christmas, and stuff like that. Back when I was in my 20s, and it always sucked. Yes, they would offer triple time and stuff, but to me, it just wasn't worth it. But during this time, just take a moment, remember what you're thankful for, man. It's really going to help you with things ahead. It's going to help you, especially with all these food shortages and these price increases that we're seeing happening. That's supposed to get even worse next year from what they're telling us. Now, if you watched the video last night, we posted up a video. It's going to be at the end of this, so you'll be able to, just click on that link and go straight to the video. But there was a recording that was made around 70s or 80s, and it was just 7 people singing a cappella, Hallelujah. And what ended up happening is they caught angelic voices on there singing, and then there was this solo that came in. And I want to take a moment just kind of talk about that for a moment. When you listen to what that solo is saying, it's talking about how hallelujahs are being sang across the land, which could be the entire earth. It could even be all of creation. And when you're listening to what's continued being said, it says that there's saints and angels that are awaiting. Okay, they've been commanded to sing. That was the next line in there, and then they're waiting for Jesus and for the children of the Lord to come. They're waiting for them to come into the kingdom of heaven. So if you think about that for just a moment, imagine what that's going to be like. Just close your eyes and just imagine that for a moment. Despite all the chaos, all the heartaches, all the pains, and all the different hardships that you have faced in life, there's a day where in the twinkling of an eye, an instant of a moment, quicker than that, you're going to be changed. You're going to cast off the corruptible flesh. You're going to be clothed in incorruptible new body, an immortal body that will never die, it will never have disease, and you're going to be changed in the instant of an eye. You're going, or the instant of a twinkling of an eye, I should say, and then what's going to happen? We're going to be ushered into the kingdom of heaven. And if you're listening to what that course is saying, it's talking about when Christ and the believers, the church, they're coming back into the kingdom of heaven there at the end of that solo, guys. And that's just going to be a glorious day. It's going to be very rejoiceful. I think it's going to be one of those things where we as believers, all the hardship, because everyone has faced hardships. That's one thing that everyone in the world is going to face is some sort of hardship. A lot of people face a lot of hardships. A lot of people face things that we can't even comprehend or imagine. And it's all going to be worth it in the end. That's what I want you to take away from it. So if you have nothing else to be thankful for other than salvation, man, that is more than enough. So that's something to look forward to in these holiday seasons. This is a really rough time of year for a lot of families out there. They're saying they're expecting suicide rates to continue to go up through the holiday seasons for Thanksgiving and Christmas and the New Year's, mainly because people have lost their jobs. They're not able to find jobs that pay as much as they used to. And on top of that, you have the inflation rates going up. People are falling behind on mortgages and stuff because of the constant hikes of the interest rate from the federal government. And that's something you need to be aware of too. So there was a lot of people that bought into, now's the time to buy a home. They end up buying it. And now they're getting to where they can't really afford it. That's the reality in life that people are facing. So make sure that you keep them in your prayers as well. But some news around the homestead for those who are like, okay, we'll get on with something about the homestead. I always try to bring you truth and I try to bring you hope. And then we'll talk about the homestead, guys. So around here, what we ended up doing is we moved our chickens that were up in the garden. They've done a real good job clearing the garden area out. We moved those 3 chickens back to the Audubon grow out pen, which is a rather large pen. We've showed it in some other videos. And then we took the 5 out of the brooder. They are fully feathered now. And they're about, half the size, 3/4 of the size of the chickens that were up front because there's a little bit of an age gap there. But they seem to be getting along fine. We moved them in there, and it's right next to the large pen to large run where when they have been introduced to each other for a week or two, I'm going to be able to simply open the gate. It's going to allow the chickens to commingle amongst each other. And I'm hoping what I can do is start getting those hens to start going into that other pen, which was a grow out box. I want them to start using those nesting boxes. So the easiest way to do that is, make sure you keep it stuffed with materials that they like, fresh straws, hays, things like that, that they can nest around in. They tend to do that on their own. We put a couple of little small nesting boxes out where they perch up in that shed with the perches and stuff. But we put a few external ones as well. They always just kick the hay out of it and lay wherever they want to. So that's been kind of a ongoing issue with those guys. So I'm hoping that this, with more of a dedicated laying area, it's going to make things a little easier. And it's also going to make it a lot easier to get those eggs because I'm not going to have to go into the large run areas often and have to deal with a rooster that sometimes he might come at you, sometimes he doesn't. He's been pretty good here lately. I think we've got him trained out of that. But he's still a rooster, and I don't trust roosters. It's just the way it is. Now, our quail, they're doing good. They're starting to lay again. They went through their molt, so they get miserable when they do that. But everyone's feathers are finally growing back in, and they're starting to lay eggs again, which is good. So I'm probably looking around February, we're going to start hatching some more quail out here, just to build them numbers back up like we do every year. And I try to get around 70 quail or so built up. That way, when it comes toward the fall, everyone's ready to be butchered out, and then we'll just keep that next laying group for the next year and build it back up. And that always keeps a constant meat supply in there as well. So always be thinking ahead on how you can try to provide provisions for the future, because what you're going to find out is if you're not trying to grow your own foods, we're talking about gardens and things like that. Oh, news on that garden front. So we had our winter squash and stuff out there. We'll get back to the rest of it. We had a winter squash out there. We ended up, they were calling for like 38-degree temperatures. Ended up dropping down like 30s the other night. And it was right at borderline hard freeze. It didn't kill the plants. We'd covered them up with plastic, but it's definitely sunned them. So I'm hoping over this next week or so, it's supposed to be warming back up into the 70s and, mid 50s to low 60s in the evenings. So I'm hoping that's going to get those plants going again, because about 55, 65 is where they really start to grow the best. So they are large enough as far as our acorn squash, that winter squash, where we could pick it, but they're not quite to the ripeness that I would actually want to pick one at for the flavor. So I'm hoping that they're going to start kicking back up and finish ripening out on that vine. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, guys. But when you're looking at your quail and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff that's been happening this year for those who are just new to the channel. And if you're new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. One of the things we were looking at early in the year, if you remember, we were talking about the bird flu that was going around. And we told you, so, what's going to end up happening is we're going to get toward the end of the year. There's going to be turkey shortages. There's going to be chicken shortages. You're going to see those prices really go up, not just from inflation, but, double, triple. I mean, you're looking at about $28 for a 5-pound bag of chicken meat now. That's insane. I never thought I'd see it that high, but it's been kind of nice because, hey, it doesn't take that much to be able to raise these chickens up to that weight where, hey, you know what? One chicken is going to weigh around 6 pounds for a hen, 8 pounds for a rooster. And it doesn't cost that much to get them to butcher weight. So it's been kind of nice so far. And we're going to be focusing on getting the garden growing some stuff that will be able to help even cut back more on that feed bill, because I'm expecting that those grains and things like that we feed them, that those prices are going to start going up next year with everything that's happening with the fertilizer issues and stuff. They're attributing that obviously to what's happening in Ukraine right now. But you just need to try to figure out what you can do in your home, what you can do around your home. And notice I said in your home. If you have extra bedrooms or large closet spaces and stuff like that, you can get those LED grow lights. You can even buy a timer so you can have it more of a natural light cycle, on for 12 hours, off 12 hours, or whatever you want to do with it. And you're going to be able to grow your plants, your tomato plants, squash plants, cucumber plants. Be kind of, a lot of room to grow cucumber plants. You need something for them to climb on, but you can actually grow all that stuff indoors if you need to. And I would hope that you would start looking at some ideas of how you can do that, because with what the prices were before farming season went out this past year, imagine what they're going to be next spring. I mean, they're already talking about the shortage that we're going to see this winter, but the shortage that we're going to see next spring, and they're expecting it to be a rough winter, as far as not a whole lot of rain, which is going to, and not a lot of snow, which is going to really affect that soil and those crops and stuff like that. It's going to affect the wheats, because when you have those hard winter wheats, you have to have that winterization process to actually get those seeds to germinate. If they don't have a certain temperature for a certain time, and it has to be cold, they're not going to germinate properly. That's going to affect your grains, which is going to be your breads, your cereals, and even your animal feeds and things like that. So it's a lot of stuff to really take into consideration. So maybe try to grow some of it yourself. You might be thinking, well, I don't live in an area where we can get that kind of cold front move in, where we're winterizing those seeds at freezing temperatures for 10 to 15 days. Well, you have a freezer, don't you? Move the seeds to the freezers, leave them in there 15, 20 days a lot of times. And when you pull them out, they have been winterized. You can plant them in the soil and get them started in the house, and then move them outside if you want to. A lot of times you can direct sow it outside. Down here in Florida, we can do that. The northern states, you're going to have to check and see. But I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, unless you're going to be getting a lot of snow. Does it sound like, I know we just recently got some snow, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, these are like really bad conditions and stuff. According to what the weather forecasts are saying, is it's going to be a winter where we're not going to get a lot of rainfall. We're not going to get a lot of snow. So that's something you need to be aware of when it comes to gardening season next year. And it's a little easier to maintain an indoor garden than it is outside. So maybe you can't get a greenhouse. Hey, I'm right there with you. That stuff's expensive, but you can grow it in front of a window. If you don't have the money for those, they have all kinds of grow lights you can do for your plants and stuff like that. Just put it in front of a good window, man. That direct sunlight coming in. You don't want it in a hot spot, but you want it off to the side where that light's hitting it, and that's going to keep that plant growing year round. Now, if you have those fancy tents on your wall that's blocking, or on your windows that's blocking UVs out, guess what? Your plant's not going to benefit. So make sure you don't have it on a window that's tinted, because it's not going to help you at all. So something to be aware of, something to think about. But I'm going to hop off here. I hope everyone just has a wonderful week. On Thanksgiving Day, I don't expect there will be a video, so we might make a little post in the community post for everyone, but I don't expect to be making a video because we're going to be having a lot of family coming over. So I don't, like I say, I'm going to be focused on spending time with family more than I am trying to get videos out. And again, for like Christmas as well. So like we might do a video. It seemed like that hillbilly stuff went pretty good. So I kind of got some ideas. I want to come up with like, hillbilly Christmas ideas or something. And understand, growing up in North Carolina, I'm a hillbilly at heart. A lot of people, they want to be rednecks. I'm a hillbilly. I don't give a crap about being a redneck, guys. But when it comes down to it, I got a few ideas. I want to make something like that, and I don't really sing much around people, but I've actually been coming up with some stuff, and I might make a video on it. We'll have to wait and see where it's, they have the redneck days of Christmas. Well, I'm looking at making a hillbilly variety, so we'll see how it works out. But everyone have a wonderful week. We're going to hop off here.